All right, guys, so there is speculation that our favorite progressive politician, that's a joke, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez could lose her House seat, as New York has lost a House seat due to the 2020 census. Okay, so every 10 years there's a new census, and after that census, states are required to redraw their districts according to the new census data based off population. Now, New York, it was one of those states that have been losing people. Okay, again, due to some of the migration effects that I've been trying to tell you guys about for a long time here, in which you have a lot of people moving from blue states to red states. So a lot of red states picked up a seat. Some blue states like California and New York lost seats. And when you lose a seat, somebody got to go, right? Somebody got to go. And there is some speculation out there that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez could be the odd woman out in the New York political circle. Okay, so guys, I want to show you this article that was written about this possibility back in 2019 that I think really explains how AOC has been preparing for this. Okay, and that she knows that because she's been hostile to the establishment Democrats, that they may try to oust her in more ways than one, because in the past they were thinking about trying to primary her. Okay, they were trying to primary her, but they didn't do it. And the reason why is because after that speculation came out, her donations went up. Okay, but this could be a backdoor way for them to get rid of AOC if they really want to. So this was written in 2019, but it gives us some good information about kind of how this process worked and what AOC may be thinking. New York Democrats could eliminate Ocasio-Cortez's district after 2020. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is prepared for the possibility that Democrats in New York could withdraw her district after the 2020 election, she told The Intercept in an interview. Following the 2020 census, every state will redraw new district boundaries to reflect changes in the population, the political implications of which will stretch for at least the next decade. In 2014, New York approved a constitutional amendment establishing a nonpartisan redistricting commission, which is set to take over the redistricting process starting in 2020. The 10-member commission, meant to be independent from the legislature, is made up of individuals selected by leaders from the state and assembly, and the original 8 members pick 2 additional members. But Ocasio-Cortez's most determined adversaries are not partisan Republicans, but Democrats who say that she has been a disruptive influence. The Hill recently reported that at least one member of Congress has been urging New York party leaders to recruit a Democratic primary challenger to Ocasio-Cortez, but the news led to a surge in donations to Ocasio-Cortez, suggesting that a more efficient means of ousting her might simply be to eliminate her district. The 29-year-old congressperson noted accurately that it's generally expected that New York will likely lose a seat, despite the city itself growing at a constant pace. Quote, "I don't know if that means that all of our districts are going to be withdrawn dramatically, but because they have been historically gerrymandered, or what will happen. But there's certainly a possibility, if not guarantee, that my district in the coming years will not look like my district today," Ocasio-Cortez said. Quote, "So I think it's entirely possible, in New York politics being what it is, we have no idea where things are going to go." All right, guys. Now, technically, the commission that's responsible for redrawing these districts is supposed to be independent, okay, with Democrats and Republicans. But let's not sit here and act like Schumer doesn't have some influence or power when it comes to these type of process, as there is currently speculation in New York that the independent commission that's supposed to decide this stuff, the Democrats in New York are actually trying to gut that commission, right? Like they're trying to withhold funds from the commission and things like that in order to try to kneecap it. So I definitely think there is going to be some influence by the party that's in control. So what are my thoughts on this? Will the establishment Democrats oust AOC following losing a seat in the House in New York due to the census? My gut feeling tells me no. But if you had asked me this question again 2 years ago, then I would probably say that there's a strong possibility, okay, that they may consider it. However, at this point, AOC has gained so much national popularity and so much pull with the progressive wing of the party that I think that the Democrats would have to deal with much more of a headache if they got rid of her than if she just stayed, okay? Because she's only a representative, okay? And it is a fact that she is the most least effective representative in Congress, or at least one of the most least effective representatives in Congress. I covered that before in the past. And at this point, you know, she's really nothing more than a voice. She's a voice in the party that is very far left, that doesn't really control any legislation or have any power or have any pull. However, she does have power in the sense that she is very popular and she can raise a whole lot of money, okay? So if they was to get rid of her, I think what would happen is that she could just run in another district in which she probably would win and then get rid of an incumbent Democrat anyways, okay? That's what she would do. Or she might just end up challenging Chuck Schumer for his Senate seat in 2022. That could also be a possibility because he's up for re-election. And I don't think that's something that the Democrats are going to want to have to deal with, okay? They're not going to want to have to deal with AOC deciding to run for Schumer's Senate seat and then having to pit an establishment powerhouse like Schumer against a progressive powerhouse like AOC, right? That in and of itself would not be good for the Democrats in New York politics. Because, I mean, there is a possibility that, who knows, she can win. Now, you know, again, it's probably a small possibility because, you know, Chuck Schumer, again, he's been around for a while. Obviously, you know, he's establishment. He's going to have a lot of the money behind him. But so it'd be hard for her to actually win. But it was unlikely that she was going to win when she took Joe Crowley's seat back when she first got elected in the first place. Okay, that was unlikely, but she still did it. So I don't think the Democrats are going to want to take the chance of somebody like Schumer, who's the leader of the Democrats in the Senate, losing his seat to somebody like AOC. And then if AOC becomes a senator, all of a sudden, the progressives have a lot more power in the Democrat Party, right? Particularly in the Senate than they do right now currently. Okay, and that's the last thing that the Democrats want, right? If AOC became a senator, yeah, it would be a problem for the Democrats, and it would also be a problem for the Republicans as well. And also, if they were to oust her in that way, I can imagine that that would have some very negative implications for other races around the country and other blue districts, okay? Because it's already hard enough as it is to get progressives to get out there and vote because they're young people, right? Young people tend not to vote as much as older people, right? Young people are generally more skeptical of the political process, right? And that means that they're skeptical of voting and whether or not voting actually has the power to change anything. So they just don't, right? That's why it's hard for somebody like Bernie Sanders to actually win, okay? Because young people just don't vote enough, okay? The progressives just don't vote enough, right? So if they were to oust her in that way, I can imagine that a lot of progressives might not vote anymore, right? It can upset the base so much that they may decide to get back at the Democrat Party by letting them lose more seats or, you know, maybe not voting in upcoming elections or supporting the Democrat Party anymore. I mean, the Democrats having as much progressive support as they have right now really only comes because of what happened in the Trump administration, right? Trump kind of helped the Democrats kind of rally together, right, and in opposition to Trump. And I think that's something that the Democrats really don't want to mess up at this point, right? They want to try to keep everything together, even though they've historically been divided. And also on top of that, I mean, it's not like, you know, AOC has really been that much of a thorn in their side. Like I said, she's been not very effective as a politician. And she's not really even doing the things that a lot of the progressive base, like Jimmy Dore, want her to do in the first place. She's kind of accepted the fact that she doesn't have that much influence and she's just kind of falling in line. Okay, and that's something that, hey, the Democrats have basically beat her into submission in terms of doing that. And that's probably the way they want to keep it. So I can imagine that they're probably not going to try to rock the boat on this thing. Some people say that she could possibly run for governor. I think that her running for governor, she'd be way over her head. I don't think that she would do that. But who knows? Maybe she will. I don't know. I mean, she the one that personally said that, she didn't want to run for Speaker of the House or to try to replace Pelosi because she doesn't have the experience. Okay, she's not confident in herself to be able to be the leader of the House. So, I don't see her running for something like governor, but I definitely could see her trying to run for Chuck Schumer's Senate seat if they was to try to oust her in that way. Okay, and she would have a whole lot of support behind her from the far left base of the Democrat Party. Or she can maybe quit. Okay, she talked about in the past how she's so frustrated with dealing with the establishment Democrats that she's thought about quitting. Okay, and going and living on a ranch or something like that. And I'm pretty sure a lot of Republicans and GOP would love for her to do that, but I don't think that will be happening either. So me personally, I wouldn't get my hopes up about it. I've seen some right-wing circles kind of, float this possibility out there. It's definitely possible. I just don't think it's likely. Probably going to be an upstate Republican that gets kicked out, to be quite honest with you. But who knows? I could be wrong about this. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.